It is once again time to dive deep into the world of budget backpacking gear. I have spent the past few months testing budget backpacking gear from brands like REI, Decathlon, and Amazon. And now I have gone and bought budget backpacking gear from the United States' largest retailer, Walmart. This is the most budget-friendly kit in the series yet. I'm gonna show you everything I bought from Walmart, and then I'm gonna take it on a backpacking trip tomorrow. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. It has started to hail again.
It's some fine Scottish weather we're having, ain't it?
I'm getting a little nervous about being warm enough tonight. What am I doing wrong? It is still deflating on me. It's actually not bad. This is my show, gosh darn. If you're not from the US and you don't know about Walmart, Walmart is massive and it has over 5,000 stores across the United States. And I know for a lot of people, having access to a Walmart is a heck of a lot easier than getting access to any other outdoor store. Now, Walmart carries a lot of different brands, but their house brand of camping and hiking gear is called Ozark Trail. And I got all of this stuff around me from Walmart, primarily from the Ozark Trail brand. Without further ado, let me show you my Walmart budget backpacking gear. Woo! This is the Ozark Trail 50-liter hiking pack. This pack cost me $39, which is an unbelievable price. And on top of that, it has way more features than any of the other budget packs that I've tried. The harness on this pack is fully adjustable with this Velcro system, depending on how long your torso is. We also have a sternum strap that looks like it will definitely sit high enough up on my chest, which is an issue that I had with the pack from Amazon, not being high enough. We have load lifters, two really cushy hip belts with nice big pockets. Then we have a big pocket in the brain, a big pocket underneath the lid of the pack, two zipper pockets on the front, a zipper pocket on the bottom, which I'm not really sure what that is for because it's not big enough for a sleeping bag, but maybe for like an extra layer or something. We have a large compartment, obviously, through the entire pack with a zipper on the side for easy access. We have a reservoir sleeve, two stretchy water bottle pockets. This pack also has these straps on the bottom where you can attach a sleeping pad or a tent or whatever else. And then we also have a zipper compartment at the bottom with a rain cover. So that is my $39 pack. Let's move on to my sleeping bag. This is the Ozark Trail Cool Weather Mummy Sleeping Bag. This Ozark Trail 30-degree sleeping bag costs only $35. Over the past few months, and I've been testing budget sleeping bags, I have found that generally the temperature ratings are just kind of estimates, or they're just sort of like made up by the brand. And a lot of these budget bags are not going through any kind of standardized testing. This one is actually ISO tested and rated to 30 degrees Fahrenheit as its comfort rating. This Ozark Trail 30-degree sleeping bag is a true mummy sleeping bag. That means that it has an actual hood that comes up and like hugs your face. It has little cinchy cords. There are so many things about this bag that I think are fantastic and honestly not what I would expect to find in a budget sleeping bag. It also says avoid strong sensation of cold with appropriate clothing in severe temperatures due to risk of health damage by hypothermia.
Avoid strong sensation of cold?
Now, because the sleeping bag tells me to wear appropriate clothing, let me show you what I'm bringing as my base layers. These are from Cuddle Duds.
Cuddle Duds.
Cuddle Duds.
Is the cutest name I've ever heard.
These are just really basic recycled polyester base layers, but they are lined with this little like micro fleece, but it's soft and floofy. For some comparisons' sake, my personal base layers that I wear all the time are from either Smartwool or Kari Tra, and they cost roughly $60 to $90 each. These, on the other hand, are each $13. Now, these are synthetic polyester base layers. These are not wool base layers. So I'm hoping that these actually keep me warm, because if these work well, then this is a fantastic entry-level cost for base layers. These are my budget base layers. Now let's move on to my stove. When I was looking at stoves at Walmart, I actually found a variety of different options, including a $20 Coleman stove. But I opted to get this $15 Ozark Trail stove, mainly because I think that what it offers as a budget stove is pretty dang cool. This stove comes with an adapter that allows it to be used on either isobutane propane fuel, which is what we all use when we're backpacking, the little canisters, or directly on propane fuel, which are those green canisters that you use when you're car camping. And in addition to that, this stove also has a piezo auto igniter. So you don't have to carry matches or carry a separate piezo or a lighter or anything like that. It comes with a stand. It seems quite small and like it'll pack easily into my pot. I'm excited. Next, let's talk about my rain protection. This is the Ozark Trail Adult Rain Poncho, and it costs $5. It's a $5 poncho. I don't know what else to say about it. It weighs 0.4 pounds. I appreciate that they put the weight on there for all the gram weenies. How much does poncho weigh though? I normally backpack with a rain jacket. I figured, why not get a poncho? Maybe it'll be great. Yeah, listen, it's a poncho, it's made of plastic, costs $5, and you look cool wearing it. $5 Ozark Trail poncho. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Whoop. This is the Ozark Trail one-person lightweight backpacking tent. This tent costs $65, which is so much less expensive than any other lightweight backpacking tent I have ever found. This tent weighs 4 pounds, and this has a full rain fly with vestibules. It's actually quite hard to find a budget tent that has a proper rain fly, especially for as budget as this tent. This is maybe the most exciting thing for me in this entire haul. And if you've been following the series all summer, you know that that has been the biggest challenge for me, is finding a good budget tent. Exciting! I'm stoked.
You're what?
Well, I started to say psyched and stoked at the same time, so I said I'm stoked. Next up is my budget headlamp. This is the Ozark Trail 500 lumen headlamp. This headlamp costs $9. Ozark Trail actually makes an even cheaper headlamp that is 250 lumens and costs only $5, but that headlamp doesn't have a red light. A red light will save your own night vision, so if you're like turning on a really bright, blinding light and then trying to be able to see in the dark, it's really hard. And also, a red light is much friendlier to your fellow campmates if you're sitting around a campfire or anywhere in the dark. It has a high mode, a medium mode, a low light mode, and a red mode, and it also flashes. It does come with batteries. In this economy, like sometimes batteries cost $9.
Do they?
That is my $9 budget headlamp from Ozark Trail. Boop. Now you might notice that there is one pretty key piece of gear that is missing here, and that is a sleeping pad. Now Walmart actually sells a couple of backpacking sleeping pads, including one from Ozark Trail. It was enormous and super heavy and not something that I would ever recommend to backpackers. But Walmart also sells a very popular sleeping pad that I actually tested in my last budget video with Amazon, and that is the Climate Static V. I bought the Climate Static V for about $40, and this sleeping pad frequently goes on sale. Now, if you watched my budget backpacking video where I tested gear from Amazon, you probably remember that I did not like the Climate Static V. This pad deflated on me in the middle of the night, and also I found blowing it up super annoying. Oh my God, I'm gonna pass out. A lot of you came to this sleeping pad's defense in the comments and told me that the sleeping pad shouldn't have deflated on me and that maybe I hadn't closed the valve properly, or maybe I hadn't inflated it right. So I decided to test the sleeping pad again. The Climate Static V is not an insulated sleeping pad. I'm also gonna be using this in conjunction with another sleeping pad that I discovered from Amazon. The Featherstone El Cordillon sleeping pad. I bought the Featherstone El Cordillon for $30. I absolutely loved the sleeping pad when I tested it in my Amazon budget video, and while Ozark Trail does make a very similar sleeping pad, it wasn't any less expensive than this one. So I'm sticking with this. In addition to my budget Walmart gear, let me show you what else I'm bringing on my trip. Poof! Amazon Essentials Fleece, the Decathlon 4-Class down jacket, Nordivate quick lace hiking shoes, my Sawyer Squeeze water filter, my Toaks pot and spork, and my bear bag, which in case you didn't know, it's a bear bag. That covers the extra stuff that I'm bringing with me on this Walmart budget backpacking video. Now you might be wondering why I am bringing some of this other stuff that I got from past budget videos rather than buying it again at Walmart. I did look at Walmart for my insulating layers, my shoes, my pot, and all of this extra stuff that I'm bringing, but Walmart didn't have anything that was less expensive than the stuff I've just shown you, and it also definitely wasn't better. So I am bringing this jacket and these shoes, this pot, this bear bag, sleeping pad, all of this stuff from past budget videos that I think will fit really nicely with my Walmart budget gear. The total cost of all of the budget gear that I bought at Walmart was under $200. Now add on to that the extra stuff that I'm bringing, and the total cost of everything here is $560, which is honestly a fantastic price for a budget backpacking kit. None of that cost matters if this gear doesn't perform well. So with that, let me go ahead and get my Walmart budget backpacking kit totally packed up so we can get out on trail to test this gear tomorrow. Cue packing montage! Okay, boom, look at that! Today we are headed up to Headlight Basin. When we got to the trailhead, it was already dumping rain, so we kind of like spent some time at the car figuring out what we wanted to do before weighing my pack and then getting all of my stuff on. Can't be right. I had a bit of a challenge trying to figure out how to wear a poncho with a backpack, but I think we have figured it out. Poncho on first, hip belt under poncho, backpack straps on, and then the poncho drapes in front, like so. This is not exactly ideal backpacking weather, but I'm actually really excited to test out this budget gear in the rain because I haven't yet done one of these budget videos when I've had bad weather. We're gonna be coming up over the snow level, so we are anticipating hail, sleet, some snow, and there's a potential for high winds. A little nervous about that, but again, it will be a cool opportunity to really put this budget gear to the test. So with that, I'm going to try and knock out some of these miles in this rain, and I will check in with all of you again in a little bit and keep you posted on how I feel about this gear. Yay hiking! One thing about this poncho, the hood is very annoying, but I'm not sure if that's just because I don't like having a hood, but it kind of does this.
It's some fine Scottish weather we're having, ain't it?
We've been steadily climbing, and it's now getting very chilly and very windy. I am dry right now, mostly, but because of this poncho, my legs, the lower part of my legs, is getting pretty soaked. Pretty miserable right now. Trying to stay positive though.
Blue plastic space nun.
I am blue plastic space nun. Man, I am always space nun.
Hey, Miranda, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you solve a problem like Maria?
I hate this. I'm in a bad mood.
Miranda, look, blue sky.
If you look behind me, the sun is actually trying to come out, which is great. Oh my gosh. Whoa. It's honestly been kind of a miserable hike so far. It's been raining basically nonstop. It's a slog. This is definitely not the weather that I like to backpack in, but I'm trying to separate my own personal opinions about backpacking in the rain, like the fact that I find it uncomfortable with how this gear is performing. And so far, I will say, Walmart Budget Pack is far more comfortable than I expected it to be. It is a bit clunky. The padding that's kind of against my lower back is very stiff, but it's not uncomfortable. And it's definitely carrying the weight a lot better, and it fits me a lot better than the Amazon pack that I tried in my last video in the series. Shoes are doing great, fleece is fine, everything else is fine. All that being said, the big gear test is going to be tonight when we actually get to camp. Be careful, it's steep. Dude, so cold. Brr. Windy. Sun! I have to poop. We're super close to Ingalls Pass. We're finally getting a little bit of sun coming out, and I just glanced up at the pass. We can actually see a couple of larches. If you don't know about larches, larches are deciduous conifer trees that turn this brilliant gold for a very short amount of time in the fall. It is super exciting to see larches up there, and after a pretty miserable morning of hiking, I'm really hoping that this weather starts to turn around. And I'm feeling a little bit more positive now that I've seen a couple larches. Wow, Larch City, so pretty. Ooh, here's our snow. Oh my gosh, oh wow. There's a camp up here. Woohoo! This is where we're gonna camp. Oh look! There's even a little camp sign. Cute. let's set up camp. I'm impressed so far. Seems pretty sturdy. I feel like I don't understand how to do this. People in the comments told me that I should like put my tongue on this while I'm inflating it, or that I should like inhale through my nose while I'm inflating it. And so that's what I'm trying to do, but it is still deflating on me. So annoying. Here we go. What am I doing wrong? It feels like I should be able to put more air in it. Sleeping pad has been inflated. I still hate it. Blowing it up was no easier. It was just more annoying, and I just kept having my tongue sticking out. I was like, oh. All right. Before anything else, I wanted to do a quick test lie down on my sleeping pads with my sleeping bag. It's actually not bad. It's cozy. I'm impressed. I am going to wait to fully give an opinion on this bag until tomorrow after I spent a night in it. I think it's time to get on my cuddle duds. It is snowing, so we've got like a little blanket of snow kind of covering everything. Nice. We are finally sitting down to eat dinner. I'm currently wearing my Cuddle Duds, my Walmart base layers, and I actually, so far, really love these. The pants are also particularly cozy. I am actually loving these base layers right now. Rainer and I were so busy trying not to get wet all day today that neither of us really ate lunch. So I am starving and so ready for a hot meal. It's so good. I don't know how Mountain House does it. I'm gonna eat my dinner and then climb into my tent. I'll do a quick check-in with you before I go to sleep. And then tomorrow morning, after a night spent in this Walmart budget backpacking gear, I'll give you a full rundown of what I thought. So I'm all cozied up in my tent, getting ready to go to sleep. So far, I am really impressed with this Walmart gear. I am cozy, the pack was comfortable. This tent is definitely the standout, I think. I'm still not really sure about the sleeping bag or the sleeping pad, but I promise that tomorrow morning I will check in with you and I will give you my full thoughts on how I felt about this Walmart budget gear after spending a night in it. Good night. Good morning! I just got up and went to see the sunrise, and it was absolutely beautiful. So incredibly gorgeous. Also, so incredibly cold, so I came back to my tent and crawled into my sleeping bag again. Most of last night and this morning, it was super, super windy. The tent actually held up perfectly in the wind. The sleeping bag did A-okay. And even better, my sleeping pad did not deflate in the middle of the night. I'm gonna get up here pretty soon and make some coffee and some breakfast. But first, I just want to stay cozy here for like a little bit longer. Let's make some coffee. That is good coffee. Really quick, before I make my breakfast, I'm actually going to boil water one more time and make some LMNT electrolytes. This is actually a chocolate chai flavor, which is part of their chocolate medley. Now, if you're new to this channel, you're probably wondering, what the heck is LMNT? LMNT is an electrolyte drink mix that has 1,000 milligrams of sodium and no added sugar. And in my personal opinion, it is the most delicious and most effective electrolytes that I've ever tried. LMNT is fantastic to help keep you hydrated. And if you ever experience muscle cramping or fatigue or pain due to dehydration, it probably means that you need to replenish your electrolytes. And so I think that LMNT is something that every hiker should have in their pack, just in case you need a little extra boost of sodium to keep you hydrated. For me personally, I need to drink a lot of electrolytes just to kind of stay hydrated and comfortable when I am hiking. But if you ever deal with muscle cramping or pain or headaches, then I would definitely recommend replenishing your electrolytes. And in my opinion, LMNT is the best. I have here the chocolate chai, which is part of their seasonal chocolate medley. But if you want to try any flavor of LMNT, you can go to the link below, which is drinklmnt.com/Miranda Goes Outside. And when you place an order there, you will also get a sample pack of 8 of LMNT's most popular flavors. Oh my gosh, one of the best. So some first impressions of this Walmart budget gear. I am really impressed with this little one-person tent, but there are definitely some things I didn't like about it. One is that it really just has this one pocket up here at the very top, which is fine, obviously, but I would have loved to have another smaller pocket on the side. I can already tell in certain spots, like down around here, there are a couple little holes forming already, just like where the seams are sewn. So I feel like it's very possible that with a lot of usage, this tent would just not hold up. In this little pocket up here is my headlamp that I used. It's super basic, super simple. As far as inexpensive headlamps go, it definitely worked really well. Now let's talk about the sleeping pad. On the plus side, this Climate Static V sleeping pad did not deflate on me in the middle of the night last night. I did have to re-inflate it a little bit, but I think that's just because the warm air that I blew into the sleeping pad kind of compressed when it got cold. That being said, this sleeping pad has only an R value of 1.3, and even stacked with my Featherstone Accordion sleeping pad, the R value was like around 3-ish. And I really feel like I was pushing the limits of the insulation value on this sleeping pad combined with the closed-cell foam sleeping pad last night. Because of the way that this sleeping pad is designed and all the baffling, my hip would kind of hit the ground, my shoulder would kind of dig into the ground, and if I hadn't have had that closed-cell foam sleeping pad underneath it, I definitely think I would have been even more uncomfortable. I'm not sold on this sleeping pad, that is for sure. I was actually quite impressed with this sleeping bag last night. I feel like it was pretty comfortable. It definitely felt cozy. I like the mummy shape of it, like how snug it is around my body. The coolest thing about this though is definitely the draft collar. So this bag actually has a draft collar that is cinchable. So there's like 2 cinches on this, one for the hood and then one for the draft collar. So that was an awesome feature that I honestly would not have expected on a bag this cheap. However, there are some definite downsides of this bag. Even though I like the mummy shape of it, it was pretty snug through my shoulders. The zipper was definitely prone to snagging and catching. It was definitely not warm enough last night. But I do think that that was partly because it just got so cold last night and I shouldn't have expected a 30-degree bag to be warm enough in temps like in the high 20s. I think if it was like the middle of the summer when I was testing this bag, it would have actually kept me plenty warm. For a bag that costs less than $50, this definitely worked far better than I expected. And I do feel like it is much more durable than other bags at this price point that I've tested. Oh, I also slept in my Walmart Cuddle Duds base layers last night. 10 out of 10. These were so cozy. These were perfect for sleeping last night. These were amazing. I'm gonna take the hike out of here to kind of think a little bit more about this backpacking gear and how it might fit in with the other budget backpacking gear that I've tested this year. And then when I get home, I will give my final word on this Walmart budget kit. I'm gonna get packed up. We are gonna go check out Ingalls Lake, and then we're gonna head home. Let's go to the lake. we go! Okay, we are back from our backpacking trip. Let's start with the Walmart gear that I liked. First is this backpack. I was actually super impressed with this Ozark Trail pack. It was comfortable, it was easy to use, it has enough space in it to pack all of this budget gear, and the best part about it is definitely the fact that it has a fully adjustable torso. The adjustability and comfort of this pack are really what made it stand out. But there were definitely some things that I didn't love. The pocket system on the front of the pack doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. You essentially have one small zipper pocket on the top here, then you have this larger zipper pocket in the middle, and it's a really deep pocket. However, I would have much preferred if this was a stretchy mesh pocket instead of a zipper pocket, because I feel like you could store a lot more stuff that you want to access quickly. These bottom straps that go around the bag like this, boop, they are not long enough to really fit a closed cell foam sleeping pad or even to fit a tent if you're someone who straps your tent to the bottom of your bag. They just need to be longer. One thing I did really like about this pack was this side zipper. Because I was using budget gear, a lot of that gear is kind of bulky and a little bit hard to pack, and so I found that it was really handy for me to be able to sort of shove something into the side of the pack that I could get to by using this zipper, rather than trying to worry about putting the easily accessible stuff on the outside when I didn't have a ton of outside storage on this pack. Then there were the hip belt pockets. These pockets are huge and they packed my snacks and other small items really well. Weirdly, however, it was kind of hard to get my cell phone into these pockets. So like, I take my phone when the pocket is totally empty. This is easy, sort of like going sideways. When I had a bunch of other stuff in there, I found it was a little bit hard to do that. Not a huge problem, just something to keep in mind if you have a big phone. The best part about this pack was how comfortable it was. I was super impressed with the fact that I could adjust the torso to fit me well. The hip belt really helped properly distribute the weight onto my legs. I love that it has actual like functioning load lifters. It also has these straps at the bottom so you can tighten the bottom of the pack towards your hip belt. I mean, there's just so many little features about it that I wouldn't have expected from such a budget pack. Very, very impressed with this bag. Let's move on to the tent. I honestly loved this tent. It's super simple. It's very easy to set up. I stayed totally dry in the tent. I had plenty of vestibule space with this one-person tent to keep my gear outside. I was really overall impressed. I did start to notice a couple weak points in the seams around the zipper, even after one use. That is the Ozark Trail lightweight one-person backpacking tent. Now let's move on to my sleeping bag. This sleeping bag actually kept me pretty warm when I paired it with my base layers, and I definitely think that if the temperature had not been as cold as it was, and if it was closer to like 40 degrees at night, then I probably would have been really cozy in this bag. As far as durability goes, this sleeping bag did not rip on me the first time that I used it, which is more than I can say for the Nature Hike sleeping bag that I tested from Amazon. If you can sense that I'm a little bit unsure about this bag, that is true. The biggest downside of this bag, I think, is that it is quite challenging to pack. It's just so big and so chunky that it ended up taking up about half the space in my backpack. And I don't love that. I also found that this sleeping bag was a little bit snug around my shoulders, like more so than I would want. So I didn't really love that about this bag either. That's my sleeping bag. Now let's talk about my base layers. These are the Cuddle Duds base layers. Fantastic, so great. Honestly, the only downside, truly, is that they're quite bulky to pack. So if you're used to like wool base layers or really lightweight synthetic base layers, obviously these are gonna feel kind of chunky. But if you just need a good warm base layer, these are great.
Cuddle Duds sounds like a knockoff version of the Teletubbies.
The Cuddle Duds! Now, let's talk about my stove. I was really impressed with this little stove. I loved the fact that the piezo worked fairly quickly, and I think it's lightweight and easy to pack and great. Downside of this stove, it took quite a while to boil water. I think at one point I was boiling, I think like 1.5 cups of water, and it took almost 3 minutes to boil. That is a downside. I was looking at some of the specs on this stove, and I think in addition to it taking a while to boil water, it also consumes a significant amount of fuel. But again, $14 for a backpacking stove, which is less than half the cost of the majority of the stoves out there. That's a screaming deal. Now let's talk about the Walmart stuff that I didn't like. That is mostly just this poncho. I just couldn't quite figure out like if it should go over my pack straps, if my arms should go through it, or if it should go on top of the pack. It was so like an awkward length that I should have had rain pants anyway to keep my legs dry because rain was just running off of this onto my pants. Yeah, it just overall sucked to hike with this thing. But is it worth $5? Yeah, I would say if you're looking for a poncho, you probably don't need to spend more than $5 on one because this worked fine. I just would not recommend it for backpacking personally. Now let's talk about my sleeping pad. I actually got this pad for my Amazon budget video, but the Climate Static V is also sold at Walmart. While this sleeping pad still performed significantly better the second time than it did the first time, I still had to use it in conjunction with this sleeping pad from Featherstone, the Accordion. And while I like these two together, they still weren't quite warm enough for my liking, and I still feel like I'm looking for the perfect pad. So that covers my budget gear from Walmart, but there's a few other things that I took with me that I want to quickly touch on. So this is a bear bag that I got for my Amazon budget video. Now I loved this when I took it for the Amazon trip, but on this backpacking trip we went on, there wasn't a single place that I could hang this bag. So I actually wound up stuffing all of my food into Rainer's bear-proof Ursack rather than using this bag. If you are backpacking in an area where you know you'll be able to hang your food and you're really confident in your ability to do so, then obviously hang your food. But the places where I backpack, that is not always the case. And so I just feel like having a bear bag that must be hung isn't really worth it. Okay, now things that I got to use for a second or third time that I still love. Still love my Toques pot and my Toques spork. Nortivate shoes. I loved these the first time that I used them, and after the second time out, I still love them. They're great. Amazon Basics fleece. Honestly, great, really cozy. And of course, the Decathlon 4 Class down jacket, which has continued to outperform all of my expectations. That concludes my test of budget backpacking gear from Walmart. I have now tested budget backpacking gear from Decathlon, REI, Amazon, and of course now Walmart, and I am getting so close to finding the ideal budget backpacking kit. But there's still a couple pieces of gear that I'm not certain of. I have yet to find a really great budget sleeping pad, and the tent and the pack I'm still not really sure about. So obviously I still have some testing of budget gear to do, and that testing is going to include some brands that so many of you have requested that I try, so stay tuned for that. And if you liked this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you outside. Bye. Oh man, I feel like I just emerged from my chrysalis.